Good morning, everybody. My name is Sid Wardell. I'm the Executive Director of the Rhode Island Police Chiefs Association. I want to thank all the local, state police, federal partners that are here today to address this serious and all too common issue of highway safety. The holidays are a time of celebration with friends and family, but as you all know, it's also the time when we see the biggest jump in roadway fatalities, both locally and nationally. Over the past several years, we've seen multiple serious crashes over Thanksgiving holiday. The weekend, our statewide numbers are on the rise. As you'll hear from our leaders in highway safety, the number of highway crashes resulting in deaths are nothing but staggering. But I'll allow them to address that issue with you. This is a troubling trend that must continue to be addressed. One of the most important steps is raising awareness, which is why today's gathering and subsequent enforcement campaigns are so critical. But we strongly urge our residents to do their part to make sure all of our friends and families travel to and from events and arrive home safely. I want to welcome everyone here and say thank you to the Colonel Weaver for his hospitality for hosting this event with us today. And at this time, I'd ask him to say a few words. Thank you, Colonel.
Thank you. Good morning. Thank you for joining us on this chilly morning to discuss a topic of utmost importance. I want to acknowledge Rhode Island DOT Director Peter Elvidi, as well as Colonel Brad Connor, representing the Rhode Island Police Chiefs Association, and thank them both for being here today. I also appreciate the other law enforcement leaders who have joined us. And of course, as always, it's good to see Ms. Gaby Abate, our partner and Chief of Highway Safety for Rhode Island. As law enforcement officers, most of us have spent a significant portion of our careers patrolling Rhode Island roadways and focusing on keeping Rhode Island roads safe. This entails looking for impaired drivers, distracted drivers, those who fail to wear their seatbelts, and those who drive at excessive speeds. As we approach the holiday season this year, we are confronted with a stark reality. The number of road fatalities have increased to 67 compared to 45 at this time last year. In response, the Rhode Island State Police have made 917 DUI arrests thus far, compared to 732 at this time in 2022. We know our partners across the state are equally committed to addressing this issue. We strongly urge Rhode Islanders to refrain from driving while impaired. Instead, consider utilizing ride-sharing services, designated drivers, or public transportation. Remember, always have a plan to get home safely. While our message regarding impaired driving carries significant importance, we must emphasize the wearing of seatbelt is equally critical. Today, we are here to remind all Rhode Islanders that the single most important action they can take is to buckle up before hitting the road. It is not only a safety measure, but it is also against the law to not wear a seatbelt. You will hear the statistic again today, but I will mention it for the first time. 50% of vehicle occupants killed in the United States in 2021 were not wearing a seatbelt. This rate is even higher, closer to 58% among Rhode Island fatalities this year. Very simply, the best way to stay safe on our roads is to ensure that every person is secured in an appropriate restraint. We hope that this message resonates strongly with Rhode Islanders, leading to better choices and increased safety. Finally, at the conclusion of today's news conference, troopers will provide a brief demonstration using our rollover simulator, highlighting the critical importance of seatbelts. I am now pleased to introduce Director Peter Elvidi, Director Alviti has been a great partner for law enforcement during his time at Rhode Island DOT, and we have certainly appreciate his time here today. Director Alviti.
Thanks, Colonel, and thanks everyone for being here to help us get the word out. You know, we're heading into, as the Colonel said, a joyous season, time when we all want to celebrate. And we want everybody to have a good time and celebrate. But there are ways to do it and still remain safe on the roadways. The Colonel and his folks, the Police Chiefs Association, and all of the police officers that they represent certainly do their share. They're out there enforcing the law. It's against the law not to wear a seatbelt. It's against the law to drive under the influence. And it's against the law to speed. And these folks on either side of me and their officers are out there every day enforcing that law. But that's just one part of it. The other part DOT tries to do in creating roadways that are safe, setting speed limits that are safe, and encouraging safe practices by motorists. But we can only do so much in engineering and enforcement. The rest of it is up to all of the people that are hearing this message today. It's a cultural issue. We know that this year is our worst year in a long time. 67 people died this year so far on our highways, and we're just part of the way through the busy holiday season. Last year we had 45, as the Colonel mentioned. So we're 50% increase in people dying on our highways this year in Rhode Island, this year alone. That is very troubling, particularly since of the 67 fatalities, 2/3 of them were not wearing seat belts. 2/3 of the people. Over 40 people weren't wearing seat belts when they died as a result of an accident. Another 17 of them involved impaired driving. And of them, 7 of them were under the influence of cannabis. Look, these, and a very high percentage were also speeding. You put those 3 or 4 things together, and it's a deadly combination. And these are all fatalities that could have been easily avoided with a click of a seatbelt, or with just staying home instead of getting behind the wheel of a car if you're impaired. So I, together with our partners here, our partnership grows stronger every year, but we need the people out there to become partners in this with us, to avoid the kinds of behavior, not wearing seatbelts, speeding, and driving under the influence. So help us out, help yourselves out this year, and act safely through the holiday season, and hopefully we'll get through this with all of our families and friends having a wonderful holiday season. Thanks.
Good morning. My name is Brad Conn. I'm the Colonel of the Warwick Police Department and the Vice President of the Rhode Island Police Chiefs Association. It's a fact that seatbelts save lives. Many people have been killed in traffic crashes during the Thanksgiving holiday weekend, and many weren't wearing their seatbelts. This may seem like an obvious thing to say, but it needs reinforcing. Simply put, buckle up. Wearing your seatbelt is proven to be one of the best ways to save your life in a crash. Let's put this into perspective. The statistics are clear and compelling. Studies consistently show that wearing a seatbelt significantly reduces the risk of injury or death in the event of a crash. It is the single most effective way to protect yourself and your loved ones on the road. Police are not just enforcing a rule, we are promoting a life-saving habit. These habits are started at a young age when children learn these behaviors from their parents. Nearly half of motor vehicle occupants killed in crashes were not wearing their seatbelts. The biggest offenders are males between the ages of 18 and 34. While I want to emphasize this message to that group, I also urge each and every one of you to take the message to heart. Embrace the buckle-up mentality, not just as a legal obligation, but as a commitment to the safety of yourself and others. Let us buckle up, stay focused on the roads, and ensure that our travels are free from unnecessary risks. Additionally, the scourge of drunk driving poses a severe threat to the safety of all road users. Driving under the influence jeopardizes lives and undermines the very fabric of our community. As part of our comprehensive approach, we will be increasing enforcement this Thanksgiving weekend, looking for impaired drivers, sending a clear message that drunk and drugged driving will not be tolerated. Use a rideshare app. Designate a sober driver. Pledge to not get behind the wheel impaired. No excuses this year. The Buckle Up campaign, therefore, is not just about seatbelt usage. It's a holistic effort to create safer roads for everyone. We are not merely focusing on compliance. We are working towards a culture where responsible driving is the norm. By addressing seatbelt usage, distracting driving, and drunk driving collectively, we're building a foundation for safe roads and a happy holiday season. As stated, police departments throughout the state are committing to added extra patrols throughout the holiday season to identify impaired drivers, speeders, and distracted drivers. And we'll be looking to make sure that our operators and passengers have buckled up. So please, do your part to help us prevent traffic-related fatalities. Buckle up and have a safe and happy Thanksgiving. At this time, the Colonel, the Director, and I can answer any questions before we move on to the simulator.
You guys mentioned extra staffing and patrols. I guess what's that going to look like from both the state police perspective and from a municipal perspective? I'll start with you, Colonel, if you could kind of talk about extra patrols and things.
So from a
Step up to the podium. Thank you.
So from the state police side, we will have additional patrols. We have a specific unit that is dedicated to impaired driving, which is our traffic safety unit. And we will also have our regular patrols that will be increased as well.
Will there be checkpoints throughout?
We do not have checkpoints in the state of Rhode Island. We do not.
How many people to that patrol that you mentioned that you're adding?
We're going to have at least 20 troopers out on patrol.
20 extra troopers than normal?
20 altogether.
And how much of an increase is that from what you would normally have on a weeknight?
On normal weeknight, we have about 8 to 10.
So you're essentially doubling it.
Correct. Correct.
And when does that run until? Obviously Wednesday
Through
night. I'm sure a lot of people
starting Wednesday through the weekend.
through the week.
Through the weekend.
And for you, Colonel Collin, what would that look like?
Sure, very similar in the city of Warwick. We're going to have our routine patrols out there where we have a minimum of 14 officers within the city and the overnight hours. And we'll increase by adding dual occupant patrols. So we have 2 cars, so one will be doing the driving, the other one will be doing the looking out for impaired drivers.
And are you doing checkpoints as well? I know it's kind of
No,
easy
there are
to
no
do that
checkpoints in the state.
Is that anything you guys have considered doing? I know you mentioned this is a pretty big uptick, and we're not even through the holiday season right now. So is that something that you're looking at as a possible something down the line?
It is a possibility, yeah, we will be talking about it.
Frank, you don't know what a checkpoint is in Rhode Island. It's illegal.
Currently, that's correct. Yes, it is illegal.
In Colonel Weaver, we talk about we have 900 DUI arrests, made up nearly 200 from last year. What do you believe is some of the factors that play into so many more arrests at this point this year compared to last?
At the state police, we, and as well as the municipal aid departments, I know we are all making a concerted effort to identify impaired drivers and hold them accountable for their behavior.
And do you think there's any factors that are kind of playing a role in such a big increase? I mean, 200 in the year's not even over thus far. We still have Christmas, Thanksgiving. I mean, you guys normally see what, roughly 50 on the holidays DUI arrests?
at the pace that we are going, we will have over 1,000 arrests this year alone, which would be a record for us. And it is extremely unacceptable, and that's why we're here today. We hope that this message will resonate with the residents of the state, and that we will not continue to have this trend in the future.
And Director Alvidi, I know you made a few comments you even did at the podium there. Your concern when it comes to road safety, seeing over 60 deaths on our roadways already this year, up from, I believe, low 40s last year. And you've made it clear that you believe there may be a correlation with the legalization of marijuana. Can you comment on that?
Use of any substance that intoxicates or alters your state of consciousness is something that's not only illegal, but it's just flat out wrong to do before you get behind the wheel of a car. 7 of the 67 people that died so far this year were driving under the influence of cannabis. That's 7 people that may very well have been among us now, and even 1 is an unacceptable number, but 7 is certainly concerning to us. This adds an additional element that we all have to worry about when we get on a road. The people that aren't doing it have to worry about this as much as the people that are acting in an irresponsible way, because we're all the victims of their actions. So we would ask that whether it's cannabis, whether it's alcohol, any intoxicating substance, if you see someone about to get behind the wheel, especially if you love them and they're part of your family or they're a friend, stop them from doing that. Take an active participation and help law enforcement from preventing these people from getting on the road in the first place. And between alcohol and drugs, at least 1/3 of the fatalities, almost half of the fatalities, would not have happened, and they'd still be living today if they hadn't got behind the wheel of a car.
Thank you.
Are there certain areas throughout maybe the state or the city that you guys are looking at a little bit more closely, maybe because of the crash data that we've gotten so far this year in terms of those patrols and things?
It's a mix across the state. That's why it's going to take a concerted effort from everyone here to ensure that we have coverage and we stop the impaired drivers.
Colonel, if I may, I just wanted to clarify something too, and give credit where credit is due, not just the leadership that's here, but to DOT and Director Alvidi. So what many of you may not know is that the supplemental patrols that are out there for most agencies during this time and also during other campaigns is actually money that comes through DOT, which originates at NHTSA. So the partnership and why Director Alvidi is always here and supportive is the fact that they're bringing the statistics to us, but also bringing federal money to work with the local agencies to bring those extra patrols that are out there. So I just wanted to make sure that everybody understands, because alone every community couldn't do it to add those types of patrols, especially around these times. So it's not just the leadership that's here of the law enforcement agencies, but also the director of DOT assisting us, and obviously Gaby Abadi, the chief of the highway safety, and her team. So I just wanted to add those 2 cents to that.
So it's federal money that's helping staff these extra patrols, is what you're saying?
I would venture that a large majority of those patrols are through federal funds that come through NHTSA, DOT, down to both the state and local patrols.
For the holidays.
It happens throughout the year, but especially during these times, NHTSA identifies certain times, campaigns, that you will, and obviously the holiday seasons is one of those.
Actually, some of the funding we're using to equip our officers with vehicles that are specifically used for DUI kind of interventions.
Are those decked out with anything extra? I guess
No,
what
they're,
those look
they're regular vehicles, but they're additional vehicles that the departments wouldn't normally be able to afford, that we're supplementing their funding so that they can have additional vehicles to put dedicated units out there specifically for detecting and arresting people who are driving under the influence.
And it sounds like that's available throughout the year, but we definitely see an uptick.
That's
in those
throughout the
vehicles.
year that's available.
But they're more commonly in use around these holiday seasons? Is what
No,
you're
they're in
saying?
use additionally during the holiday seasons, but they're intended for use year-round, and a lot of the additional arrests that you heard the Colonel talk about is because they've actually created specialized units that are experts at detecting who's out there driving under the influence and making those arrests, both at the local level and at the state police level.
Colonel Weaver, I've got a question for you. 900 DUI arrests already this year. How frustrating is it for state police as well as our local police agencies when police go out, do their job, make these arrests, prove that these individuals were driving under the influence, yet they're back on the roads with just a slap on the wrist and a $500 fine, not weeks if not a month later. And you end up getting a lot of repeat offenders, and we've seen individuals that have taken lives of teens in our community who have had several DUIs and still were able to be on our roadways. I mean, when you guys do your job to get these people into custody and make these arrests, and then they're let go just weeks later with just a slap on the wrist, how frustrating is that for state police and police departments across the state?
Well, you said it, it's our job. So we are going to be there, and if people are operating impaired, we will arrest them, and they will face the consequences. And if they are repeat offenders, we will arrest them each and every time. That's what we're going to do, and we will be there to do that.
One more question for Colonel Connor. I know you had mentioned, obviously, you have some extra patrols and things for in the city of Warwick. There's a DUI kind of, there's like a ride-share program that you guys are offering tomorrow night. Is that correct? Can you explain that a little bit to some of our viewers?
That's correct, and you can find more information on our Facebook and our website page. But the City of Warwick, not only are we offering rides home from or to a location in Warwick, but we're also are partnering with Mothers Against Drunk Driving to offer $20 coupons for an Uber ride. So you can scan the QR code. If you're at a place in Warwick and you need to get home, your first $20 Uber ride is on us.
How many years have you done something like
This is the first time we're partnering with MAD for the Uber
Why was
gift
this something
cards.
you wanted to start this year?
I think it's important. I think rideshare is out there, but as the Colonel said, we're arresting thousands of drunk drivers a year, so the message isn't getting out there. So maybe if we can try offering a free ride, somebody will take it up and maybe save a life.
Great. Let's head outside.